Welcome to the Chemist Chick with Helen Nichols. True stories from behind the pharmacy counter.
Hello there everyone, my name is Helen. I've been a chemist chick for 50 years this June. I've worked in over 40 pharmacies in 5 states in Australia, including the Northern Territory, and boy, have I got some stories to share with you. Most chemist chicks are the funniest, most politically incorrect, crude, irreverent and potted-mouthed girls I've ever had the joy and pleasure to work with. They are also the kindest, caring and most lovable rogues you will ever meet. However, all is not as it seems and not what you think when you walk into a pharmacy. These angels of healing are so different behind the scenes. The history behind pharmacy is also interesting, and many people, I'm sure, will hear this podcast and go, oh, I remember that, or oh, I remember such and such. My story is a real trip down memory lane with real people and real places. I have therefore changed the names of the people and the places for their privacy and for me not getting my arse sued. It's been an extraordinary career with some hilarious experiences. Here are some of the titles of episodes to come in my podcast. Naked Spin the Bottle, Porn and Pavlova, Lashes and Boots, Have You Got a Cream for This, and The Head Girl. You can imagine the trouble I got into with this one, and plenty more in the coming podcasts. As a young girl, I had no filter. Whatever was in my head at the time came flying straight out of my mouth. I would not get away with it today, and yes, I'm still a chemist chick. But back then there was no TGA, Therapeutic Goods Association. It was Rafferty's Rules. When I first started in pharmacy as a young girl, there was only one hair conditioner on the market, Tame. And there was only one sanitary napkin, Modess, and one condom, Wet Checks. And this was followed by Durex. Look how many there are today. The Modess were kept in a lock cupboard and had to be wrapped in brown paper. We had a big steel cylinder with a blade on it, which we used to rip the paper out, tear it off on the big blade and wrap these pads up. The condoms were kept in a locked drawer, and men would come in with a small piece of paper with condoms written on it. They would slide the piece of paper across the counter and ask, "Can you please give this to the pharmacist?" He was the only one with the key, and a man would never dream asking one of us girls for condoms. How things have changed. Do you want to come for a walk down memory lane with me? Come on, let's go.
You're listening to The Chemist Chick with Helen Nichols. True stories from behind the pharmacy counter.
The chemist chick is a nurse, confidant, counsellor, friend, caregiver, and basically just wants to help you in whatever way she can. These ladies get abused and sadly sometimes treated terribly. But most of the time, people in my experience are grateful for your help. Knowledge, kindness, care, empathy and trust. I admire and take my hat off to these very highly trained and knowledgeable women that I have had the privilege of working with all these years. I dedicate this story to all the awesome chemist chicks out there. I know a lot of you will identify with some of my stories, and I hope you get a good laugh out of them too. Additionally, there are some very sad stories to tell, as we often get attached to some regular customers with whom we form a great rapport. For me personally, my greatest reward has always been when I could touch someone's heart and make their day a little brighter. As for the minority, come on girls, admit it. You just want to slap them, and you want to slap them hard. And there are a lot of slap-worthy people that we come across in retail. Generally, my 3 favourite slap-worthy things are when you're cleaning the bottom shelf and you're on your knees. Oh, say one for me, love, while you're down there. The second one is when something doesn't have a price on it. Must be free. This one really shits me. My third personal favourite, do you work here? No, I just wear this goddamn ugly uniform with the chemist logo all over it, and I've had some really ugly ones. I serve people and put shit on shelves for a lark. I really work at Parliament House. I clearly work here is what I'm thinking in my head, but my response to them is always the same. Oh, well, I turn up, I have lunch, I swan around all day, so I sort of work here. The fact I've worked in over 40 chemists in Australia makes me a bit of a pharmacy floozy. or as I prefer to be called, a gypsy. Pharmacy was a very different world back then, and it wasn't the highly controlled environment that it is today. But it was a lot of fun, and I did try to be as professional as I could in some of these crazy situations. I was on my way to becoming a chemist chick. This is what we called ourselves in the 70s, and I've loved my job from day one.
The Chemist Chick with Helen Nichols. True stories from behind the pharmacy counter. You can subscribe to the podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and wherever you hear great podcasts. This has been another quality podcast from Bytes.com.